have fund balance of any kind? Like, I mean, you hear about the fund balance and there's no.
Well, they're by law, they're allowed to keep 2% fund balance, but I think that's applied just about everything towards next year. Next year will even be worse.
Wow.
It's a bad situation. But I'm not sitting on that board anymore.
Are we on? Maybe I'm calling.
We're just promoting people to panelists.
Early. Not
If
cool.
Steve's not on.
Oh,
I sent him, I just.
down here tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Read. Just. People are balanced.
Steve and Rich.
I,
Hi, all.
Hello.
New.
Mark, if you're on the meeting, we're trying to promote you to panelist. Hang on. I guess you can just allow him to talk
okay,
the whole time. So,
all right.
Andy, Mike Bauer.
think about him on the, is that,
Can't get rid of Andy. He's in Virginia and he's still coming.
how's that?
He's a good guy. Okay.
The other one.
I talked to Andy last night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's doing good. He likes it down there. He goes, now we're just getting everything out of boxes.
Okay. So,
Yeah, I don't know why it's not working.
Mark, if you want to speak, we've unmuted you to allow you to talk, but you have to unmute your own phone. Did you change it at all? Just say ask unmute.
Go down here.
I don't know.
We can start. I don't know if Mark's gonna be able to talk during the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Like he's on, but he didn't use the link for the panelists. He used like the regular attendee link.
It won't let me push him over.
He has to accept it.
So yeah, I'm in Hackensack and Veolia is the water company, so I'll have to,
All right, we can begin.
Very good. Okay. Order. Regular meeting of the Vernon Township Municipal Utilities Authority will now convene. Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this regular meeting was provided to the public and the press on December 27th, 2022, by delivering to the press such notice and posting same at the municipal building and filed with the office of the MUA, as well as posted on the website. All rise to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Where Kristen back in.
That would be Rich.
Yes.
Rich, can you unmute to do the oath of office for Kristen?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay.
Kristen, will you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? Do you solemnly swear
I solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of the United States
to support the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
to bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and to faithfully,
and to faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of
all the duties of
VTMUA Commissioner
VTMUA Commissioner
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Amen. Congratulations, Kristen.
Thank you.
Roll call of members and professionals.
Okay, Paul Carney,
Present.
Dave McDermott,
Present.
Kristen Wheaton,
Present.
Ed DeYoung,
Present.
and Mark Bauer.
Mark, you can talk.
Yep.
Mark, we can't hear you.
He is unmuted.
Yeah. Mark Bauer.
Okay.
And Ed Snook is absent tonight. How do I go about?
Rich,
Well, I mean, Mark would be taking the place. We have 4 commissioners plus an alternate then tonight, correct?
Mhm,
And Mark is on but unable to be heard.
correct.
So we'll have to proceed with the 4 commissioners.
Okay.
We know Mark is present, so we can mark him present for the quorum.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. For professionals, we have Donnell Bright, the administrator CFO, Rich Bunner, the attorney, Steve Banowski, the engineer, and myself, Jacqueline McCabe, the recording secretary.
To open the meeting to the public for agenda items only. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion to open the meeting to the public.
Get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have no one online.
No.
Nobody online?
Online, and no one will.
Nobody from the public stepping up to speak. Anybody like to make a motion to close to the public for agenda items only?
I will make a motion to close the meeting to the public for agenda items only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Last meeting, we postponed the nomination for vice chair. I'd like to bring it up again. Would somebody like to make a nomination for a vice chair?
I will nominate Kristen Wheaton for vice chair.
A second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. I will accept that nomination. Thank you very much.
Roll call vote for that.
Yep. I have Paul Carney,
Yes.
Dave McDermott,
Yes.
Kristen Wheaton,
Abstain?
and Ed DeYoung.
Yes.
Kristen, just as a point of record, Paul, Kristen, you're totally entitled
can
and
vote.
rights to vote on your own nomination. That's fine.
Okay, I will change my vote from abstain to yes. Thank you.
Let's do that. Okay. Resolution 2313, approval of the bills. Make a motion to approve resolution 2013.
I'll make motion to approve resolution 23-13, approval of the bills.
Anybody have any questions on the bills?
Do we need a second?
Oh, can we have a second? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
You don't have any questions?
No.
I just have
Like they're in order to
I
make.
just have one. It's a very minimal, minor one. In the bills, there were 3 sweatshirts. $85.91.
Good.
They were back ordered from when I ordered them for when our one sewer repair started, and they just came in. So I had to pay for them after they came in.
Okay, I'm just curious, like, what is our responsibility, or what are we have in our budget, or that we budget for in regard to clothing? I understand the need for safety equipment, things along those lines. Where do we draw the line on what we're gonna buy in regard to clothing?
So usually, we purchase a couple of outdoor sweatshirts, like heavy duty material sweatshirts, and a jacket that's like an all weather jacket that's waterproof. But we don't buy anything really beyond that. Our budget line item, I can get the exact dollar amount. I don't know that offhand, but I can get that for you guys just so that you know. And then we do reimburse for boots because that's obviously a requirement.
Right.
Yeah.
That-
And we, just to let you know too, our process is if we have a new employee, we don't order those things right away. We wait until a probationary period and then order them.
Right.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
I just need to roll call for the bills. Paul Kearney.
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
Kristen Wheaton,
Yes.
Ed DeYoung.
Yes.
Approval of the minutes, the reorganization meeting of 9:23. I'm gonna make a motion to approve organization minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the reorganization minutes.
I'll second the motion.
I have Paul Kearney,
Yes,
Dave McDermott,
Yes.
and Ed DeYoung.
Yes.
resolution 2314. Resolution of Vernon Township Municipal Utilities Authority establishing employee classifications and salaries for the year 2023.
There's just one item needs to be amended on here. Number one, it says administrator / CFO. It's not CFO, just administrator.
Did everybody get a chance to see that? And if so, someone make a motion.
Could you repeat that, Dana?
Sure, for number one on this, it says administrator / CFO. That was a typo. It should just say administrator.
Okay.
Financial officer services or through the shared service with the township.
So we're crossing that out. And so I'll make a motion to approve resolution 23-14 with the amendment as noted to delete /CFO from item 1 administrator.
Can you get a second?
I will second that motion.
Paul Kearney,
Yes.
Dave McDermott,
Yes.
Kristen Wheaton,
Yes.
Ed DeYoung.
Yes.
Resolution 2315. Resolution authorizing the redaction of all addresses from the minutes. VTMUA from the township website to comply with.
Want me to get some info on this?
Yeah, I mean, I read it, but just.
Just so everybody knows. So Daniel's Law was signed into law back in 2020. In January, they finally put into effect a process in order for individuals that have signed up for Daniel's Law to be redacted, for that to be distributed and sent around to the individual municipalities. These are for individuals who are police officers, prosecutors, and judges who can sign up under Daniel's Law and be redacted, their names and or addresses, depending on what department you're looking at. So in order to protect everybody who may have come up in the past and given their name and their address, in speaking with the attorneys, the way we could do this is request a redaction of all addresses from all of our minutes so that we don't have to constantly go back and look anytime somebody new pops up on Daniel's Law. So we're just going to redact any addresses that show up in the minutes and we should be able to put them back on the website.
Someone like to make a motion?
Make a motion to adopt resolution 23-15.
I'll second that motion.
Paul Kearney,
Yes.
Dave McDermott,
Yes.
Kristen Wheaton,
Yes.
Ed DeYoung.
Yes.
Administrators update, Donnell.
Sure. So we signed for pump station 2, we did sign the contract with Coppola. We did have the pre-construction meeting last Thursday. That was with the DEP, iBank, Dewberry, and actually we asked the township engineering firm Harold Pello to be on as well. We reviewed a lot of required items that we need to review and provide and ensure like are addressed before obviously moving through actual construction. But we had some final paperwork signed off by Coppola, I think it might have been Friday. So we can start moving on that soon, hopefully. The sewer service area mapping, as we've talked about, the entire Legend sewer service area, we've requested be incorporated into our submitted SSA map. Those were provided to the DEP, all the GIS mapping updated for their final review. They're probably going to come back to us and say, oh, we don't want this in, and we will just say, okay, because we kind of know what we're going for now, so that's good. The transfer station, so I reached out multiple times actually to SCUMA, and finally yesterday I heard back from them, so he's going to speak to the board. I think yesterday they had their meeting, so he was going to speak to the board and find out about a time to finally meet with us to discuss whether it's a transfer station or the suggestions that Commissioner Wheaton made. So hopefully we can finally meet with them on that. Capital items, so we had originally spoken about hammering the force main that's on the railroad tracks, unfortunately, and Steve can probably speak more to this, but we don't really think it's the best way to move forward to assess that main, just because of the size of the air release valve. It's too small and we don't really want to cut into the main. So there's that. And then the township is looking to purchase a sewer cleaner, which can be used for the township to clean catch basins. And then it'll also help us in clearing the lines when necessary, that we have something like with actual pressure. And then there would be a cost share to the township, which is fantastic. It's not solely on, the back of the MUA or on the back of the township. It's like a shared service, shared equipment.
Who?
Huh?
Shared with who?
With the township.
Oh, with the
Yeah,
township.
they can use it to clean catch basins.
Okay.
And they just haven't had them before, so that's what we're working on now.
What's the cost of that?
109,000, but then there's like a, oh my gosh, I want to say rebate. but,
That's for
credit
the
back.
credit, yeah.
Yes,
And what percentage of it would we be?
I think I did 40%. Yeah. New developments, I've just been working with developers. I have a meeting tomorrow with the developer who's handling the 55 units that's over on Omega Theta area over here. I've been meeting with her tomorrow. I've been talking with Ryan Holmes frequently about their development. I believe there might be a new buyer for the property that's at the end, like over by McAfee ski. That property over there, I think there might be a new buyer, so hopefully that moves. And new appointments. So there's the alternate one position here that's still open with the MUA, and the council just extended that application deadline. So they're looking to appoint at the 27th of March meeting. So that's all I have to report.
Do you have any indication of the development when it's actually going to start? Like, do they have an idea when they're going to start working and building?
Which development? Any of them?
And yeah, any of them.
Yeah. So the 55 units are closer than anybody else. They've had all their land use board approvals, like that's all good to go. The last time I spoke with her was a couple months ago, and they were finalizing like all of their permitting through the state that they have to do first before coming back.
2023, they'll be working.
I'll find out tomorrow. But they're the furthest along at anyone. Ryan Holmes is obviously working with the property that's on the golf course. They're still figuring out water, but we might have a resolution to that too. So hopefully that can be in the next, I would say like 3 years for Ryan Holmes, just because it takes, for full build out, it takes time.
How many units in that?
They anticipated 208 units there. I don't remember how many EDUs I estimated. I think it was like 180 something because of the number of units and bedrooms and all that other stuff. And then again, I mean, the property that's next to McAfee Ski is not even purchased yet, so I don't know about that. And that's it for the administrator report.
When we put the legends in the service area, have we heard back from DEP on that?
So we just sent them all the GIS mapping inclusive of legends. They are fine with the portion that we've included for legends because it cuts out all the ESAs, so environmentally sensitive Which is just, I mean, it's still like the massive portion of Letchworth. It's usually like the outskirts of it are kind of in red on that map. They seemed they were okay with it. Like it was up to the township, the MUA, to decide if we wanted to include that or not.
They were pretty much encouraging us to include that back months ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, they said, yeah, it's entirely up to us. You know, they were concerned, well, do you have the allocation? Like, we have the allocation. I'm not concerned about the allocation.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So yeah, I don't think that that's gonna be an issue. It just might be a couple of like block and lots here and there that they say, oh, we want to cut this one back a little bit. You know,
Have we heard from the owners of Legends since we did?
Nope.
Wonder if we're traveled south yet.
They probably
really like,
have nothing to say.
well, I think that wastewater treatment facility,
A nightmare.
Needed help.
I think
it would
it's,
take 4 years to get through DEP and they would never get it approved for what they have for right now. So
No.
it's a spent bullet.
And Howie could not make it tonight, so just a quick update. Hill, there was a call out for a pump failure. Turns out that the switches were bad, so we ordered 2 new switches, to take care of that. And fencing, obviously all the generators are hooked up and running, so that's good. And fencing, did we start that?
So they were supposed to come yesterday, but with all the snow, they asked to reschedule either next Monday or Tuesday, and they're gonna let me know by tomorrow afternoon.
Understand.
All that snow and then 60-degree weather the next day.
Yeah, playing in mud today. Right. I think it's to the engineers report. Steve?
Excuse me, I just have a question on the administrator. So, at a prior meeting, Commissioner Pitzker had suggested that we have a groundbreaking for pump station 2. That occurred?
No, so that, and I had been talking with Steve about like a date, so we need to finalize all the paperwork and stuff with Coppola, and he said, I literally just texted him a couple of days ago about this. Because I talked about, I think the board's gonna want like a groundbreaking ceremony when we're ready to start, so once we know a date, then we'll let you guys know.
Okay.
That'd be great, and we'll like probably notify papers and stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
it's a long time coming, I understand.
It is.
Yeah, for sure.
Need to get to celebrate something. So bad news around here.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, okay. Celebrate Aaron Rodgers for sure.
All right, so now.
He's not gonna come
Engineers
pump our.
report. Steve.
Alrighty, so good evening, everyone. So just Donnell hit on a few things I was gonna mention. So last week with DEP, the contractor Coppola and Corey Stoner, we held the pre-construction meeting. Notice proceed was issued to the contractor last Friday, March 10th. So in the immediate future, as far as construction goes, right now, over the next probably month or so, maybe a little bit longer, we would be in the shop drawing process where the contractor submits what his proposed materials, and we as an engineer review and approve that. And then he procures, it'll be an ongoing process, but then the contractor generally doesn't start procuring materials till that is done. So he really doesn't anticipate, let's say, really starting actual construction until about June 1st or so. So what Donnell and I discussed is we may be better off having the groundbreaking ceremony, when that happens, as opposed to now, and then have it followed by a period of no construction. But that is in progress, and we'll be working with the contractor here in the coming months to get all the shop drawings and materials approved. Donnell mentioned the sewer service area mapping that was submitted to DEP. I believe that was about 10 days to 2 weeks ago. So then the other 2 things that Donnell also mentioned, that the potential TV inspection, camera inspection of the pump station 2 force main at the railroad, which we were able to do up at the condos. It's not as easy here because it's a different arrangement for the air release valve. So it's kind of almost like back to the which I kind of I kind of missed that in the beginning when we first started discussing that, so I kind of missed that, so it's kind of back to the drawing board with that. And then, the only other thing that we've done, in the last month or so was an issue came up with the new sewer connection from the minerals. I don't know, I don't think it's expansion work, but the minerals interior work that they're doing there. And they just had an issue with getting a new sewer lateral out to the sewer main. So so they're gonna have a small private pump station there. So the MUA will not have responsibility for that. So we just reviewed some information relative to that. That's what I have.
Do we have any questions for Steve?
Steve, what was the issue with the, it says utility conflicts?
Yeah, so there was, it's the sewer lateral is coming out at a new location and a new elevation. And between where they were trying to get the lateral out and the sewer connection point was a water main. So they couldn't go out by gravity essentially.
Thank you.
That pump station is on their property.
Correct.
Thanks, Steve.
Sorry, one more question. Are they gonna, do they have backup power provisions for that pump station?
That's a good question.
And it's only handling sanitary flow, right?
That's right, yes.
Okay.
That's a good question. Yeah, we should follow up on that.
I mean, I would think that might be more of a building department issue now that they're. I don't know.
Right. Yep. You're right, but it's worth following up on. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Number 14, EDUs and expansion. You know, you want to get started on that?
Yeah, so this was a discussion item just to discuss about how the township and maybe how the MUA would like to recommend to the township how to move forward on the $3.2 million that we received from the federal government for sewer expansion. So it include this was put together a while ago from Dewberry back in 2021. So some of these numbers obviously need to be updated. But I sent that around to all the board members. Again, so we have some newer board members on here. And then also there's a map on the back of that in your packet that breaks down those different connections and how many connections are in each area based on how it's broken out from Dewberry's estimates, the report for estimates. So right now, in conversations with Dewberry, you know, we don't really think it would be the wisest decision to start putting pipe in areas that are not already approved for sewer service area. We have a whole area in town center that is in the existing sewer service area, but it is not able to be connected. So, you know, the other half of Route 94, everything that goes, I don't want to say everything that is on Main Street, right? But like everything that goes off of Main Street further up towards 94, not down towards Acme, if that kind of makes sense. That whole area is allowed to have sewer service and there's nothing there. Also, if you go down actual 94, like the intersection 94 and 515, if you continue down 94 towards New York and you come up the hill to go towards the old Vernon Inn, that whole area is sewer service area and has no connections right now. The Vernon Inn, I know, has had a number of people that have been interested in it, but the cost of a septic is like astronomical. And the idea is that there's no main right there. So to do an extension for a main for just that business, it's a lot for one business owner to take on. So, in conversations with the township, with the mayor and administration, it was just to try and get what's current existing sewer service area connected to the sewer right now is like, I think where we should be going, and then extend it as far as we can. So that in the future, we do have the ability to put them, extend the main down Route 94 so that we can connect the other areas once they're finally approved by the DEP.
do we know, I mean, like, prices on these things are constantly changing, but
Mhm.
do we know how far past the Vernon Inn they we might be able to go with the funds that we have?
So there are a couple of things we talked about with Steve, and I spoke about with James too, and they actually looked into it because I was like, oh, well, can we put the main in the road, but we don't do any lateral connections, right? To the areas that are not already approved by the DEP. And the DEP said like you can put the main in, there's nothing to prevent you from putting the main in because it's not actively working, right? So that's kind of like a township and maybe a board decision, like, do we want to connect up to the point of that development? Right, and say, okay, we're just gonna put the main up to that development, and once it gets approved, then at some point we can do an extension into that area. It's not, I'm trying to think of where I should have like made this a little bit larger. I think the Vernon Inn is like right here. It's not that much further than the Vernon Inn that you could really go to extend the main.
I think there's only one property there left. I mean, that,
Yeah, but then it goes like further up where our expander was like pre-approved. It's not really approved
Yeah,
yet,
right.
but it goes up to like that whole other development that's up there.
okay.
Tell,
Is that
On the other side,
that's the motel?
No, the motel is
Way
way
further.
further down around the
I
bend.
don't remember the name of the road right there.
Malibu? Is it Malibu?
Is it Malibu?
Malibu or Butternut
I
or
think it might be Malibu's first. I think it's Malibu.
Malibu, yeah.
I'm like bringing it up on Google Maps. This is ridiculous. I'm pretty sure it's Malibu. But it's not, it is not much further past the Vernon Inn.
and,
Right.
and in that, if we were to go that way with it, which, I mean, might be the way to go, how many? If we were going up about as far as the Vernon Inn, do we have the funds for laterals at that point too, or no, or is it still just the main?
It would be for the laterals to be put in all the way up there, and then we would also extend down Route 94 as far as we could go. To connect everything we can to the existing sewer service area. And I am applying for more funding. It's due tomorrow.
And what is the available, let's say, eating that with that, if we went that in that direction?
You know, I don't like doing this. So we look at connections, right? So connections for that first area that goes up towards the Vernon Inn. That's one, area one. There are 75, there could be 75 lateral connections in that area. Part of that though is like the expanded sewer service area that we're looking into. And I didn't count how many connections those are. So it would be less to not include those, but number of connections doesn't mean that's the number of EDUs because it could be significantly higher.
Right.
For a restaurant, right? Like area two, which is the other area that's in town center that's not connected. That's both residential and commercial, and some of those properties are undeveloped right now. But they've been undeveloped because they have no access to utilities, right? So if it's zoned for town center, it could be a variety of uses. That's 126 connections, but again, it could be anywhere from 100 EDUs to 150 EDUs. Like it depends on what type of use is there.
And if the decision's made to go that way, how long will it take for that to begin? We have any clue on that, or is that just?
So we don't even have, no, I don't even have a letter I don't have an award that's been given to the township yet to determine how much, like the exact dollar amount. I need something in writing before I put it in the budget to be able to use it. And then it's a process. Then I have to do a bond ordinance because it's a 25% match. So you figure 3 million, I need $4 million for a bond ordinance. 1 million is debt, right? So I have to do a bond ordinance that takes like basically a month and a half to do that. And then we'd have to work with the engineers on drawing up bid specs and then go out to bid and all that stuff.
So we would have to bond $1 million.
Yeah.
And what's I mean, we have to expand regardless. I'm just curious, like, well, I guess it's a question that can't be answered because you wouldn't know how many use it is,
Right.
so how long to
Mhm.
start recouping that
Right.
$1 million. You couldn't even.
Well, and the $1 million, right, you're gonna get some of that back in connection fees. But you're looking at that's a small debt service payment, $1 million.
Right.
$1 million is a lot of money, but it's a small debt service payment because of the type of debt that it is.
Right.
So it's sewer debt, if you bond that out, I would recommend bonding it out at the end of that. Once a project is complete, right? Because it's sewer debt, let it be bonded on its own, let it sit on its own. And then it would be bonded out for a long period of time. That's a minimum annual
How many
Debt
years
fee.
could you do that for?
30. You could do it for 40, but they don't issue bonds anymore for 40 years. Yeah.
Okay.
And we can't use SRF as the matching funds, right? Because SRF originates from the feds.
Mm.
Okay.
Well, that money is being used for water anyway.
Well, but on the wastewater side, there's a lot of principal forgiveness going on, right? With,
Wastewater
yeah,
on drinking water, there is
we're finding it with wastewater too.
for these areas.
Maybe not. I'm just, yeah,
Yeah.
hack and sack of
Yeah.
principal forgiveness going on down there.
Yeah, most of the stuff that we see, like the that I've seen that Vernon qualifies for, it's just like lower principal. And it's a lot of work.
Okay.
I mean, as we've seen with the process with iBank, it's not.
It's not, it's not fun.
Oh, just send it to us and we'll approve it. Like, it is nothing like that.
So is this whole project, is this something that we have to have a resolution and a vote and all that on, or is it just?
You don't have to. I think having a discussion with the board is good. And we can relay that information to the mayor and council and say like, this is what.
Because it's their decision.
It is their decision.
Is it just for capital expenses? Yeah, like,
What do you mean?
What about engineering fees?
These are include.
Are engineering fees covered by the bond also?
Oh, yeah.
Or by the grant?
Yes. It's a full project. So when I applied for the funding, I included everything.
Good. Do you have any other questions or comments on this? Nope. All right. Thank you, Donnell.
Okay.
So I guess we're looking for maybe next meeting to come, or just get back to you, Donnell, with.
We can talk about it at the next meeting if you want to say, okay, like,
I don't know how quickly the town is going to make a decision, or.
I don't even have anything back from the feds yet. So, and I've asked like 3 times.
So it sounds like it's something we should kind of think on and,
Mhm.
come back to the council with.
Yeah, my whole thought was, and obviously there might be other places that there could potentially be more hookups. But it might not be the right time, or the funds might not be correct at right now. I'm just looking to where we're gonna get our fastest and biggest return on an investment, so that we, can start sailing away from the red as slow as that's gonna take. Start see the black somewhere in the future. That's, my main thought on this is what is the fastest and I don't want to say profitable, because we're not going to ever turn a profit here, but it's, it's going to be the best financially, going forward.
Mhm.
That will allow us to expand more because we're not falling further into debt. That's
Right. Well, and again, like the only areas that are really we're limited by our existing sewer service area to an extent, right? So, the only areas that are in the sewer service area are areas 1 and 2.
One. Well, so there's 75 plus on 126, so we're looking at 200 connections.
Yep.
Good for the first line getting right in. That's,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's a good start.
yeah, I agree. I agree. Start tomorrow.
I want to know nothing about that.
All right. Go forward here. It's somebody like to make a motion to open the meeting to the public for items not on the agenda.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I don't have anyone online wishing to speak. Nobody,
Come on.
okay.
I'm gonna ask a question. So we're gonna spend $5 million to run sewer.
State your name for the record, please.
Sean Clarkin from Barry Lakes. I'm gonna spend $5 million to possibly get 200 connections. And the 200 connections that are possible, those properties are currently on septic systems.
Correct.
And MUA doesn't have the authority to force anybody to walk away from their septic. So we're gonna wait as septics fail. We're gonna force those individuals to connect.
I don't think that's been,
Okay, so you're spending $5 million to run sewer lines along Route 94. There's nobody fresh there to be connected to those sewer lines. There's only existing homes that are on septics. We don't have the authority to force them to connect, and we don't have the authority to force them not to replace their septic if they choose to do that. Is that correct?
not sure what we can and cannot do in regard to that.
It's- The MUA has a set of bylaws and requirements, and the MUA does require hookup to the system.
Yeah, it does.
You have no.
If there's a pipe in, if,
I said that we have no enforcement authority other than to charge those existing customers, whether they're physically connected or not, the sewer fees, and they're also required to pay a connection fee.
So we're gonna spend $5 million to run the main line up Route 94. And once that line's in place, we're gonna start charging these 200 properties for the EDUs, whether they're connected or not. Is that the plan? Because you're gonna have a revolt, okay?
I don't know where you're getting $5 million from.
What I heard.
Said 4 million,
Okay, 4, so.
and 3.2 million of that is federal funding. That does not have, there's no,
Spending federal money running sewer lines to where we have no customer.
it was given for that specific project.
Yeah, the money cannot be used for anything else.
It
That's,
was given to run sewer lines, not that particular project. So we already sent plans to the government. We told the government, this is where we're gonna run the sewer lines. Yes, it's that,
We have an existing sewer service area.
excuse me,
We have an existing sewer service area.
right, the town center. Right. I'm stumbling over spending federally money. The federal government's giving us money. And the best plan we have for using that money plus $1.5 million of our own money is to run sewer lines along Route 94 to where there's nobody to connect up to.
that's an incorrect statement. There are people to connect to.
But they're already on septics. And there's no power of authority to force them to connect.
Well, you can force them to pay the hookup fee and pay the EDUs.
And Okay, so you're gonna force them to pay a hookup fee whether they hook up or not. And you're gonna force them to pay a monthly bill for EDUs that they don't use either.
If they don't hook up, yeah, sure, you can.
Okay, you're saying can. Are you gonna do that? Are you gonna force those people to pay the hookup fee and the EDUs? Because you're spending the money getting the line running up there. And all I'm simply saying is this, and I'm new at this game. I made it to 2 meetings, so I'm just trying to understand. We're spending a lot of federal money. It's good to have federal money to spend. And we're spending $1.5 million or so of our own money. And you're looking for a quick return, right? That's what I heard you say also.
Yeah.
Having those guys on septics, that's not a quick return unless we're gonna force them to pay a hookup fee and an EDU, a monthly EDU fee when they're already on their own system, when they're already on their own septic. And I can tell you that if you knocked on my front door and told me I would do that, I'd get the shotgun out of the closet and tell you where to put it.
That's a very threatening statement. I don't think you should talk like that in public. It's a threatening statement.
All right. I'm exaggerating. I think that all the people on Malibu and all the people on Butternut are all gonna get together and they're gonna sue the town to stop the town from forcing them to pay a hookup when they all have septics. I don't see you getting away with charging them when they've all got septics.
Just to be clear, those areas that you just mentioned are not in existing sewer service area,
They're not in
an
existence.
existing sewer service area.
Okay, so where are the 200 connections coming from? If it's not Malibu and those streets up Malibu, and it's not Butternut, where are the 200 connections coming from? Because those are,
Area 1 and 2, area 1 in the sewer service map has 75 connections. Area number 2 has 126 connections.
you're calling it a connection. Are these buildings that need sewer service now, or are these buildings that have, or these homes that have septic systems currently?
You'd have to cross that bridge when you come to it.
None of this could happen without the lines being put in.
The lines have to be put in first.
The entire system is financially gonna really be it's already in bad condition. It's only gonna get worse unless we have more customers on it. And the only way to get more customers on it is to expand. This is step number 1, because this is approved areas by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. And the finances that we receive from the federal government will enable us to put it in that area. When and if hopefully we get more money from the federal government, it will go into another area that would be approved by the NJDEP. And that's how the system will get expanded. And over time, people will be hooked up. And
So that the septic system lasts 20, 30, 40 years.
some of them might be 20, 30, 40 years old now. Right?
Okay.
You don't know.
When the house was built, okay. Right, I guess I need to see.
This I don't situation for all of us. We're working on this and figuring it out as it goes. There's nothing that's set in stone today.
Right past the Vernon Inn, there's a flag lot. It's a narrow driveway, comes off of 94, and it goes up. Right, and it's 112 acres. All right, that 112 acres was on the market for $810,000. So for $750,000, you'll get 112 acres, you'll get 110, 112 acres of raw land that's never been developed. Well, at $750,000. So for $750,000, the township can create more condos, more houses, a development there. And you're gonna end up with hundreds of EDUs rather than 200 EDUs.
Just to be clear, one, that property is not in a sewer service area and it's not in a,
The line right past.
it's not in a sewer service area. Just to be clear about that. Secondly, I think you should probably speak to the town with regards to Highlands, because I don't know if you can actually do that with a property like that, considering that we are governed by the Highlands. But I'm not like a land use person.
Neither am I, and I'm not an MUA guy either, so I'm just winging it here. I just see that we're spending $4 million, $1 million or so is the town's money, and the rest is coming from the federal government to run sewer lines to where we have no immediate clients. Whereas.
I think that's your perspective.
That's my perspective.
We have connections. He said that we have connections. There's connections.
Talking about making connections, people who own septic systems, own houses with septic systems, you guys are referring to them as connections.
I don't know their names, so.
Right, well, you're.
Properties.
Connections. I'm calling them long-term possible clients. That's what I call them, long-term possible clients, because they have septics. And they're gonna do everything that they can do to keep those septics going. And I believe, I'm using it, but I believe that if you tell everybody in a certain area that they have to give up their septic and tie in, it's not gonna go over very well. And I think instead of forcing people who own septics to switch those septics onto the sewer line, I think you're better off figuring out a way to make a new project, a new condo project, a new something.
Not developers. We're not,
Ryan,
we're not
And the
developers.
town is not, and I'm gonna, the MUA is not gonna develop properties and get into the building business. We can't do that.
I think you're getting into the building business, but you're strategizing instead of looking to squeeze people who own septic systems, instead of looking to squeeze them to connect. I'm saying have a strategy to move forward and move the town forward and put more housing in so that you're getting new clients flow, more EDUs from condos, new condos. I'm not telling you to start building. I don't want to see the town get into the building business. I don't want to see the town get into any more business than they're already in.
I think what you're speaking about is something that's more of a subject for a town council meeting. Our function here is the MUA is steward. That's what we're here for. And
Okay.
we work with the laws and the regulations, the DEP, and the reality that's in front of us. And this right now is our reality. We were given federal funds. We have to use them. Or they take them away after a while. You have to
You
use.
don't have a plan. They're
So
gonna
we, and our goal for years is to expand the system, so we get more customers on it, so that we don't go completely bankrupt and the entire town then has to carry the bill, because it will get spread to every single person up in the hills, up in Highland Lakes. Not gonna be sewer up there, maybe ever, not in our lifetime, but they would be footing the bill on the system, and we're trying to expand it. So hopefully everyone in the town doesn't get impacted in that manner. And for some people, it may not be ideal at first. Hopefully in time, it ends up being a plus for everyone. That's what we have to work with. That's the reality.
Thank you very much for explaining. Thank you.
Welcome. What else?
The hand went down.
No one else?
No one else.
No one else from the public? Make a motion to close it to the public.
I'll make a motion to close the meeting to the public from not on the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Commissioners' comments. Is Mark's unavailable, right? So start with Ed.
One thing I'd like to see is, Donnell, if you could, some of these areas that are on this tiny little thing for my old eyes, if you could expand some of these areas so that we could actually see the properties that we're talking about. I think Mr. Clark makes some good points, although I think in some cases, Sean, you may not have all the information, but we're gonna spend a lot of money. I mean, we're gonna have to pick the areas where we're gonna do sewer expansion. But as you said, Donnell, we put in this grant, we identified these areas for expansion. This is where we're gonna expand to. There will be a whole issue about connections and who's gonna connect and who's not gonna want to connect and what happens after that. I don't know. I mean, we had discussion at least in the past year when I was sitting on this thing about bringing sewer service to residential areas and into areas where maybe somebody just spent $25,000 to replace their septic system. Maybe there's nothing wrong with their septic system. There's also failing septic systems. So, how the town is going to deal with that, I don't know. But I would think that there would be some, let me say, grace period involved. If somebody had just expanded, they had a failed system, they expanded it, dumped $25,000-$30,000 into a new septic system on their property. I wouldn't think it would be the right thing for the town to come in and say, oh, that's nice. Sorry, you got to throw all that stuff away and you got to hook into our system. There's got to be some kind of a process where that gets mediated and, in some time. That's my personal opinion on this thing. So I think you make some good points. But I think in the areas here where I think Donnell indicated that in areas 1 and 2, there are some properties there that aren't even developed yet. So those are ripe for putting a line down there, and if development happens on those properties, those people have to hook into the system. I think is that a big number? I don't know. I don't know I can't see area 1 and area 2 on here to comment on that further, but those are my comments, Paul.
Thank you. Dave?
Yeah, I guess I'll echo what Ed was saying. I think there's a lot more discussion to come. I also, sympathize with the individual homeowners. So I like the idea of a grace period, and I don't know whether we can use any funding to off, like, again, depending on maybe the need or the recency of, an individual septic system, whether we can use funding to offset those connection fees or something along those lines. Maybe as a consideration. I don't know whether we can do that. So that's with regards to expansion. And I wanted to bring up the EDU as a billing mechanism topic. I know we've had a lot more, a number of other inquiries on this topic. Could we have something written up on our webpage that just kind of, so that you don't have to field as many calls?
Maybe I can work with Rich on something.
And then maybe that would just, save some time and effort, because it's a recurring issue.
Yeah.
And that's all my comments.
Okay, I also agree with Ed. I think that when the system's expanded and we go into areas where their septic is fine or new, it's not gonna be our decision, I don't think. It might be, but we might be able to have some kind of dispensation. And as people have their septics tested or cleaned out over time and they start to degrade, they wouldn't be able to replace their septics. They would have to get on the system. I don't know how that would work out. It's still kind of early in that process, but I sympathize with people who would have to come up with money for this one way or the other, especially now the way the economy is. It's going to be very tight. I don't ever take these things lightly when, I know it's going to affect people's bank accounts. So I would be open suggestions and ideas and whatever can be done when the time comes to make it as, I don't want to say painless, because it's never going to be painless, but to make it as the people, the residents as it can be. But we'll have to see where this goes, you know, where we expand and how that's going to go. It's not our decision, it's the town's decision. And with that, we have to work within the framework of where they decide to put it and then abide by rules and laws and regulations. That's what we're here to do. Sometimes you can change things a little bit here and there. I know that, or at least I understand when years back, they gave, you know, breaks on the connection charges for, you know, early on when they first started having this system. You know, maybe something like that would be put into effect that when the line is run, if you do it within a certain period of time, maybe the connection fee to be decreased. I don't know. These are just things that maybe.
Buy one, get one.
Something, yeah, I mean, maybe things could be worked out along the line that way. I mean, the connection fees are important. It's money that comes in. But the ultimate goal is to have people hooked up and pay for the sewerage that we are paying for now that doesn't exist. So, you know, this is, I don't want to say formative stages because it's been talked about and planned for years, but we're not quite there yet, I guess, with a plan and how it would be instituted. But I'm always listening to every ideas people have, you know, well, we all are, so. We'll just go with that and, you know, see what time brings.
Well, you know, you going back a couple of years ago, we were discussing here and about hookups and how you would manage it.
Yep.
And what they did down, I think it was in Bergen County on Goffel Road, where you have, it's different down there because you have one town on one side and one town on the other. But they put this sewer main up and the people who had septics, when their septic died, there was no building permit issued. You had to hook up.
Yeah.
But they had, as long as their septic was functional, they didn't have to hook up. You didn't force them. And it seemed to work out pretty good for them. We talked about that.
I know we talked about it last year.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know, if we're also talking about a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
But the transfer station, having, you know, utilities, you know, setting I don't know if it's an ordinance or a resolution where people need to have their septics cleaned out every 3 to 5 years,
Yeah.
whatever the number is. And if failure to do that might be cause for, hey, you know, you're not maintaining your system, you need to hook up. You have a failing system, you need to hook up. But, you know, I just get pretty sensitive to people who've sunk a lot of money into a system and then you come up and you say, hey, by the way, we need $4,000 from Vernon to connect. We need 6,000 from the, you know, Sussex to connect, and you gotta, you know, get an excavator to come in. It's a lot of money for somebody to lay out when they just laid out a bunch of money and are probably still paying for it, you know, with a home equity loan or something like that.
And all of that needs to be considered.
And I think when we get to that point, Paul, I would suggest, because you know, we have the township involved and they're gonna decide what the heck they're gonna do. I mean, I suggest at some point, it's probably a ways down the line where we have a joint meeting with them and talk about things like this. You know, our concerns, their concerns, and do that. I would think that'd be the proper thing to do.
I agree.
Just to let the board know too, we get calls like at least weekly, if not daily, about businesses or properties that are like in town center and they want to know, like, can we hook up? When are we hooking up?
Yeah.
When are you running the lines? When can we, you know? Because there are properties that are in the sewer service area and they know they're in the sewer service area and they can't connect. And they have aged septics and they don't have the money. They could be commercial properties and they don't have the money to replace a commercial type of septic. So, you know, it's like both sides.
Yeah, well, they ought to be high on the list then.
Yeah, I'm sure there are people who are like, they're biding their time, hoping their septic doesn't fail before the lines get in the
Yeah,
ground.
they don't want to invest a bunch more money in it. They want to hook up. I get that.
Absolutely, both sides of the coin. Absolutely, 100%.
Anyway, sorry to jump in, Paul.
No, no, it's fine. I was done. So that was good. I wish I had a crystal ball to see how this all turns out, but
Yeah.
that's it for me. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
But Dave, did he get to talk?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, he said,
Oh, okay. I must have been dozing off over here.
he said, I don't have anything. Dave, would you like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Get a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Aye.
Hi,
Night, thank you.
thanks for coming.
Good night.
Good night.